Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Kurt on Cougs. Today doing just a weekly preview. Yeah, a big week in BYU sports. We're starting to come towards the end of the regular season in men's and women's basketball. Of course, you also got volleyball, softball, baseball, track and field all going on. So yeah, we're going to talk about it all today. We're going to start by talking about just giving a quick preview of what's happening for the Batcats, both BYU baseball and softball. As this week, BYU baseball will play at UCLA. That is happening later tonight. So a big game there, of course. Playing at Jackie Robinson Stadium, so pretty iconic venue. Then they play a series against CSUN later this week. In the meantime, BYU softball will be playing in an event in Cathedral City, California, where they will take on a few different teams, including the University of Washington and a ranked Duke team. So they're playing a whole bunch of teams there, so it should be exciting to see what both of those teams are able to do this week. I think baseball, softball season are pretty fun. Lots of games happening, lots to follow along with, so that'll be pretty fun. So you got that right there. And then for men's track, they're going to an invitational at Notre Dame. I believe that's the Alex Wilson Invitational happening this Saturday. So we'll be excited to see what they do there. They got two brand new record holders who, pretty recently broke those school records. So it'll be exciting to see what the Cougars can do there. So that's what's happening in all those sports. And then jumping over to basketball, we're going to start with the team that's playing tonight, BYU men's basketball, who are playing against Kansas, and they will play Saturday against Arizona. Two ranked opponents. In my opinion, this is a week where BYU has very little to lose and a lot to win. Currently, this is a team that is put as one of the last four buys by Joe Lunardi in bracketology. And so they're in a pretty good spot going forward. Kind of at this point right on the line between being an 11 and 10 seed. And so would love to see them move up, of course. They're in a pretty good spot. In my opinion, you lose both games this week. Maybe you slide back a spot or two, but still, you're probably in a pretty good spot. Neither of these losses will hurt your resume. But getting one of them, in my opinion, probably pushes you clear off the bubble, at least for the time being. With two wins, probably putting you in the type of area where now you are a single-digit seed and looking to move up, seeing how high you can move up. Maybe 7, maybe even, if things go really well, 6. And so, in my opinion, of course, the most likely of the two is tonight against Kansas. And this Kansas team is not the Kansas team we've seen in past years. For one thing, this Kansas team has really struggled on the road. That's a piece of good news for the Cougs. They've gone 3-6 on the road, true road games this year, and they've just really struggled there. Haven't won a whole lot. They just lost a surprising one against Utah on Saturday, and so that trend's been going on. Also, just overall, this team by this point, I believe they have 6 or 7 losses in conference play. Currently tied with BYU for number 5 in the conference. And with Baylor having had lost yesterday, this is officially the battle for 5th place in the conference. If BYU wins this one, this would give them the inside track to get that 5 seed in the conference tournament, which of course would be really nice. That gives you the easiest quarterfinal. The easiest second round matchup, most likely, as well as I guess the easiest quarterfinal matchup of all the teams that would be playing in the second round. And so a win today, of course, would be huge for the Cougs. Kansas led by Hunter Dickinson. Honestly, I was surprised he came back after last year. Dude has a lot of NBA potential. And so it's going to be interesting seeing how the Cougars try to shut him down. And of course, this is going to be the Marriott Center tonight is going to be a special environment. We're talking like 2022 Gonzaga type vibes, 2011 San Diego State. So just a huge huge game. BYU gonna have a massive home court advantage. But once again, you're playing against a really good team, and a team that honestly will probably be playing a little angry, especially after that loss against Utah. So the Cougs are going to come out with a victory in this one tonight. Here are my two deciding factors. First and foremost, like I said before, Hunter Dickinson, very, very talented player. Down low, BYU doesn't really have anyone that can match up with him size-wise. I do believe they have some players that can be physical enough to at least keep him away from the hoop, challenge his shots. I'm not hoping he's going to score on you. And Kansas has a lot of other players that can get in the paint and score. And so in my opinion, it's going to be really important that BYU limits that inside game for Kansas and forces it to the outside. I would say try to make Kansas beat you from three, because they do have a few players in their starting lineup who are not super consistent three-point shooters. So I would say make them beat you from there. Make them beat you with the thing that is not their strength. Ultimately, if Kansas has a good night shooting, that's that. But I would bet on the fact that they will struggle in a sold-out Marriott Center, and they will not find that shooting groove. So I would say force it to the outside. Yeah, and then on the offensive side, I think it's going to be really important just passing, just spreading the ball around. Overall, I feel like it's going to be really important. Kansas has a lot of very talented defensive players, and who could give trouble to guys like Yegor Demin, Richie Saunders. And so in my opinion, it's important that you spread out the ball a whole lot, get a whole lot of different guys involved in this one, just so that you're not relying on star players that are getting locked down all game long. So I think that's going to be really important for the Cougs, is just spread the ball around, get a lot of guys involved. And if the Cougars do that, I think they have a really good shot in this game. My bold prediction for this one, I made this one earlier today in response to something else. I'm going to make it again here. I am predicting that Yegor Demin will go for a triple-double tonight. I know that's pretty bold. In my opinion, though, BYU is going to need him to step up big. Hopefully scoring in double digits as well as getting a whole bunch of assists. Also, he's tall, lanky, could pose some problems for the Jayhawks on the boards. So I'm predicting he goes for a triple-double tonight. And ultimately, I think the Cougars come out with a win here. Reasons being, this is at home. This BYU team, very motivated. And they got a whole lot of talent. This Kansas team isn't up to the level they're typically at. I think this is a perfect year for the Cougars to get a home win over the Jayhawks. And then jumping over to BYU women's basketball, they're coming off a great weekend in which they beat number 20 Oklahoma State. Surprised a lot of people with that one. In my opinion, this week's schedule looks like one where they have a decent shot to win both games. They are playing tomorrow at Arizona. That's going to be a tough game against a team that's kind of middle of the conference right now. But a team that has also been struggling recently. They have won only one of their last 6 games. So I think that the Cougars have a pretty decent shot to win this one. And then they play at home against Arizona State, a team that the Cougars already beat by double digits on the road. So I think that, and with the momentum they have, I feel like going 2-0 this week could be pretty important. I feel like at this point you're probably fighting with Kansas, a team they play next week for 11th place in the conference. Currently the two teams are tied at 4 wins apiece in conference play. And, seeding matters a whole lot for conference tournaments. So in my opinion, at this point, it would be a good goal just to move up to that 11 seed. To get above that, they're currently 2 games behind teams like Cincinnati, who are currently occupying the 10 spot. So I don't feel like climbing 2 games with how much time left in the season there is super realistic. But I feel like it's very manageable to at least beat out Kansas for the 11 seed spot. And so looking at tomorrow's game specifically against Arizona. Arizona, once again, a team that has been struggling a lot recently. One of their star players, though, is coming off a 30-point effort against TCU. And so, of course, Wildcats are going to be hungry to get back in the win column, which they haven't done a whole lot recently. And so I think this is a good game for the Cougars. Of course, though, being played at the Meg-Hale Center in Arizona, one of the tougher environments in college basketball. So in my opinion, if the Cougars are going to come out with a victory in this one, here's what they need to do. First of all, I'm going to say you got to win the battle on the defensive boards. This Arizona team has struggled to keep up with their last three opponents scoring-wise, and in my opinion, the Cougars are totally capable of doing that as well. They play very solid defense, but just can't allow those offensive rebounds. And in my opinion, if the Cougars can just keep the Wildcats off the offensive boards, they won't have the offensive firepower at least to run away from the Cougs in this one. And then in the meantime, on the offensive side, I'm going to say hitting three-pointers will be very important. And the way I see this BYU offense is I feel like they are very good at two things, which are getting to the hoop, both with post players like Calvert and Gillespie, and guards driving to the hoop, and also hitting those threes. In my opinion, they've been a lot more consistent recently with getting to the hoop than they have with hitting those threes. So I feel like if they can hit those threes, make Arizona respect both the inside and outside game, I think they should have a real good shot at winning this one. And so those are my deciding factors. And then as for my bold prediction, I think the Cougars have a lot of momentum, and I think they win this game. Not only do I think they win, but I also am predicting that they will not trail in the second half. I say they take a lead into halftime and keep it going for the whole second half. And so, yeah, that's my preview for the week. I'm excited to see how things go. Let's go, Cougs.